Hey everyone, welcome to Team Call Tuesday. Tonight we have the honor of having one of my favorite mentors in the business, Brigitte Lingford, on the call, and I'm really excited about this. And I went to my messenger to see her stats so I could introduce her after Katrina goes over some announcements and recognition. But I realized I didn't ask her because I feel like I already know a lot about her. So I will tell you what I know and then let her take it away. But before we do that, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to jump on the call tonight. I know that this is bedtime. Ooh, Naomi, let me mute you. It's not letting me mute you. Can you mute yourself, dear? Perfect. This is bedtime for a lot of us, or we have children wandering in to say hello. And I just appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with us every Tuesday. Just as a reminder, I know there was some confusion. Team Call Tuesday is every single Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. unless we have to change it because our guest speaker. Like I said, Katrina is going to go over some announcements and recognition, so I'm going to pass that over to her.
Hi guys, good evening. Thanks for being on. Happy we have a set date and time, so I'm glad Melissa hit on that. But I don't want to take a lot of time because I'm excited to hear Brigitte speak. But I did want to recognize a few people. Melissa and I rolled out the 500 Club, which is super cool. And everyone will be getting a coffee mug for that. So that's Jennifer, Shay, Marie, Heather, Vicky, Nicole, Crystal, Kim, did I say Jennifer? And then Melissa and I as well. So super excited about that, to be rolling that out and having you guys hit. And along with that, just want to highlight last month was such an awesome month for Tenaciously Fierce that we did have a lot of Success Club earners, and we weren't Success Club earners at small numbers. Most of us were 10 or higher, so that makes me ecstatic to give a little shout out to Melissa, Jessica, Kim, Nicole, Vicky, Jen, Crystal, and myself. And when I say both of those two categories, it's super awesome when you notice that a lot of those names are repeated. So just know it's a foundation of your business, not only to hit Success Club and build your volume, and you'll start getting more and more recognition for that. The only other thing I want to mention is, did anybody see the Clean Week sneak peek today before it launches? Super awesome. If you haven't got on board today to check that out, make sure you do. And yeah, maybe post something in the team page and let us know what you think. But without further ado, I would love to pass it over to Brigitte, and let's hear her story.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think we've got someone unmuted. Me, and I just think this is really cool. Like, this is really cool that you guys are getting on a weekly basis. You guys are really lucky to have Melissa and to be able to have this community, and good job to everybody who is hitting Success Club and getting those volume points on the board. And obviously you guys are doing something right. So I wanted to hop on and just share some things that have made a difference for me. I have been coaching for 5.5 years now, and I got started and really just ran out the gate with it, and not for anything in my past that would have given any signs that I would do well in this, but I did really hit the ground running. And I have looked back at that time and asked myself, what made the difference for me in running with this business? And those are going to be the things that I'm going to share and talk about tonight, is what made a difference for me as a new coach and really running with this versus what I sometimes see in other coaches who don't really run with this, or get started and get stuck, or who have been doing this for a while, but they're kind of missing some of these X factor things or whatnot. But just to give you a little background on me, I was not the person who grew up working out and eating well by any means. Many of you guys maybe felt the same way getting into this, and you're like, how did I end up being a health and fitness coach? Is kind of comical. Like, that's at least how I feel about this. Like, you know, I'm sure everybody who knew me growing up is like laughing that I'm doing this, because I actually grew up very, very, very shy, very depressed. I was very antisocial, didn't have a lot of friends, and was not this overly self-confident person in any way, and struggled with depression majority of my life. Was writing, not to get like really heavy on this, but I was writing suicide letters in 6th grade, and just severe depression, you know. And when I was in my early 20s, landed myself in a mental hospital on suicide watch, and just really struggled a lot growing up. And so when I say it's comical that I'm doing this, it really truly is. And I had gotten married, have 3 kids, and when my youngest was born, I, for the first time ever, really had a desire to see what I could do with my own health and fitness, because I had never before worked out and eaten well. And so even though I had been in athletics and had done volleyball and through high school and whatnot, I had never eaten well. And my parents didn't eat well. We had fast food a lot growing up. Both of my parents are obese, and I was quite overweight. I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And I was like turning 29 when my daughter was born, and just had this huge aha moment of realizing that this was the last year of my 20s, and I'm going to grow old and never see the beauty of what I'm capable of, because I don't feel I was really taking care of myself. I didn't have that quote unquote self-pride. And I was really curious on what I was capable of, because I realized I was not living up to my potential. So I drew that line in the sand and said, I am sick and tired of feeling like crap, and I want to know how good I can feel. And so I started doing fitness. I started eating well, and probably did it in all the wrong ways of doing lean cuisine and eating those little 100-calorie snack packs, and thought I was being healthy. Was introduced to Beachbody, found out about this because someone else was being brave and posting about this on Facebook. And I was so inspired by the transformation stories. And that gave me hope, because I was like, if this person can do it and this person can do it, maybe I can, you know. And so that's how I got started. And I, as I said, jumped in, but I had been a customer for 4.5 months. And when I jumped into coaching, I, was hitting Success Club 10, kind of ran with this. And about 3.5 years in, joined the Millionaire Club. I think it took me 2.5 years to get to 15-star. So I mean, it's gone well. And I've really enjoyed this. It's been really fun. And I've had my up and down moments. Don't think that this has been a straight shot to success. But there are things that I can see that made a difference for me getting started, and I'd like to share those things with you now. So one of the things that made a big difference is self-confidence. Now, that might seem odd, and I'm pulling up some of my notes from my phone, so don't think I'm Instagramming right now or anything. But I just told you guys I didn't grow up with self-confidence. In fact, I would say I had nothing in my past history that gave me evidence that I could do this. I got kicked out of college twice for bad grades. The college I was going to, you had to have a certain grade point to continue on, and I was literally failing out of college. My only job experience is working as a waitress at Denny's. So no past evidence that I could have my own business and actually do well. I had 200 friends on Facebook. I thought Instagram was simply an app to give you filters on your photos. So, I mean, I literally had no idea what I was doing. But I had a confidence that whatever comes my way, I can figure it out. And that's what I want you guys to realize that the self-confidence comes from, is a confidence in yourself and in your ability to figure things out. Like many people are trying to derive their self-confidence from past experiences and saying, what in my past is giving me evidence to support the ability that I can do this? And when you can't find something, or instead you find evidence that leads you to believe you're going to fail, you rely on that instead. Self-confidence is looking forward, not backwards, and saying, no matter what comes my way, I'm going to figure this out and I'm not going to give up. Okay. And I will tell you, that was my mentality 100% joining us. And I looked at this, and thank goodness my sponsor was not anything special because he was the average Joe guy. My sponsor is Scotty Hops. And if you've seen his videos, you can see he's nothing. He's like the guy next door, literally, right? His videos are so amateur. You see him pressing play and then standing over here, and half the time he doesn't wear a shirt. He's in his backyard. And he's just not like the person who's doing all that fancy editing, and he's like not a GQ model at all. Like, and so in my mind, I was like, if he can do this, I can do this. You know, like it just like created that belief for me. And like, I think some people look at this and think, I have to be a supermodel, I have to be this. And I'm really grateful that I don't look like a Playboy bunny bombshell like person. I'm kind of grateful because I think that helps me be relatable, and I think it helps me be the person that people can be like, okay, if she can do this, I can too, because I'm very socially awkward still. And I think it's to my favor. I think it's good. So I just feel that confidence is looking forward. But I looked at my coach and I was like, if he can do this, I can too. And even if it takes me 5-10 years to make $50,000, it's still in my benefit. That's $50,000 that I don't have. And what else am I going to do? But I can look forward and know that I'm going to be okay. I think self-confidence is also saying that even if I fail, I'm going to be okay. And that's how I looked at this, is even if the worst case scenario is I fail, I come out ahead because at least I did something, and at least I tried, and at least I gave this my all, because I spent 29 years of my life living with regretful experiences piling up. And I was sick and tired of living my life with regret. I mean, I regret not working harder in college. I regret so many things that I'm not going to get into them for sake of time. But struggle is less painful than regret, guys. I can assure you that if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, you will look back with regret. You will look back at this time and say, why didn't I work harder? Why wasn't I more consistent? Why didn't I do the uncomfortable thing and send the freaking invite and go for it? Like, you're going to feel that. I feel that way about so many things in my past, and I did not want to have one more thing to add to my plate that I could possibly regret. So I went all in saying, I'm still going to feel good about myself no matter what, because I will know I gave this my all. And I did something, and I took action. So that's the first thing with that self-confidence. Another thing that made a difference with that is I had a compelling reason to do this. Now, when you talk about that as your why, right? I think of it as your compelling reason. And your compelling reason is like that thing that, I mean, it compels you to act, right? That's why I like that phrase a little bit better. And I really love this story that I read in John C. Maxwell's last book. It's called, I can't remember the name of his last book. Well, let me look really quick. Otherwise, it's going to drive me crazy. It's called No Limits. And he told this story of these two boys who were walking alongside this big brick wall. And they would walk along this wall every day on their way to school. And they always would ask themselves and talk about, I wonder what's on the other side of that wall. And but neither one of them, felt any motivation to actually go on the other side of this brick wall and climb over. Until one day, one of the boys took off his hat that he always would wear, and he threw it over the side of the wall. And the boy's like, why did you do that? His friend's like, why did you do that? He goes, so I have a reason to climb over and finally see what's on the other side of this wall. And I love that because it was his compelling reason to succeed. And I just look in this business and I think, have we gone all in? Have you gone all in and thrown your cap over the side of the wall so you have to do this? Or is this kind of convenient but not really convenient? Or you're just kind of doing it because you didn't know what else to say to your sponsor to reject them? You know? Like, do you have a compelling reason? I will tell you, this is tapping into what I call refusal energy. Refusal energy is what do you think of when you're like, I refuse for this to happen? Because guys, when you step into your refusal energy, you are unstoppable. For me, we had gone through bankruptcy and we lost our home, we lost our cars. There was a stage when, utilities got shut off and I'm opening the freezer, like, trying to keep the kids cool, and because the air conditioner thing we didn't pay that bill, it got shut off, and trying to make a game out of things when then the electricity went off, and not being able to buy the kids Christmas gifts and getting them, fruit snacks to unwrap for Christmas. And my husband didn't love his business that he was doing. And we also could see that the writing was on the wall. Where he was working at was not going to be a possibility, wasn't going to be a job that would be available in the next 5 years. And so in my mind, I'm thinking in the next 5 years, we are going to repeat what we just went through with going out of work for 2 years, living off of food storage, like not being able to like pay our bills. Like I refuse to ever go through that again. And that's what would wake me up every morning and drive me to say, that is unacceptable for me to ever experience again in my life. I would much rather choose this uncomfortable thing of sending the invite, talking to as many people as I possibly can every single day. Don't ask me how many hours I worked. Don't ask me how many people I talked to, because I worked every single second I could. I talked to as many people as I possibly could every single day because I refused to have that experience again ever in my life. And that's what it takes for you to be driven in that way, because your sponsor is not going to push you. No one's going to come like nag over your shoulder and be like, okay, why aren't you to Diamond? I need you to go to Diamond. Like, what do you refuse? Like, that has to be your driving factor, because I said, I'm not going to get very many chances in my life. I'm a 2-time college dropout. I don't have job experience. My husband never graduated from college. He doesn't like his career. What are my options? Like, I have to do this. And even if it takes me 5 years, by the time that my husband for sure is losing his job, even if it takes me 5 years to make $40,000 a year, that's what we were living off of. So I figured it would still be worth it. So I had that confidence that I could figure this out, or at least I won't have to feel regret, for not taking advantage of this. I really think that was to my favor, guys. But ask yourself, what do you refuse? I will tell you right now, I'm still wildly passionate about this business, even though financially we are totally fine. Like, now my thing is I refuse to, and I hope it's okay, I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. I'm not trying to convince you of God, but I refuse to face God someday and say, I'm sorry I didn't help so-and-so and pay this forward. I was too uncomfortable and I got in my comfort zone. Like, I refuse to not share this with other people when I know that was me. Like, I refuse to say, this is as good as it gets, God. Like, don't bless me anymore. I don't want to grow anymore because I don't care how you see me. This is as much as I'm willing to grow. I refuse to have that conversation someday. And so to me, people will say, why are you working so hard right now? And I will tell you, I don't feel it's fun or enjoyable to sit back and do nothing. It just isn't. Like, I feel so much joy and passion and fulfillment in challenging myself and pushing my limits. And being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? And in those growth moments. So what do you refuse in your life? That is what's going to compel you to act and to go and to do. Okay, another little couple points, and I know I only have 10 more minutes. I'm trying to keep this short. Another thing that makes a difference, guys, is recognizing that emotions don't like to share space. And so you really can only think and focus on one emotion at a time. So you can use this to your benefit and be intentional about what emotions and what feelings you are entertaining and giving space for. Because here's the thing. Fear is always going to be there. Fear is always going to pop up because you're a human being, okay? I have this coach who we got on the phone the other week, and she's like, I'm still just kind of scared. And I know we've had these conversations, and I know I've discovered my why, but I'm just kind of like still fearful. And I'm like, so you're waiting for fear to go away. Like, hello, you are a human being. You're going to have these warning signs that go off in your brain that's like, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. Like, don't send this invite. Don't make this post. And that doesn't go away. But here's the thing is when those fears and those doubts come into your brain, you have a choice. You always have a choice. And this is what I had to learn the hard way. When I wake up in the morning and I feel depressed, I don't feel down, I have a choice. Do I give power to that? Do I do the things that I know generate me going in a downward spiral? Or am I going to stop being a victim and say, oh, that feeling is there, I have to entertain it? Or am I going to choose and say, what do I want to create today? I want to create happiness. I want to create joy. I want to create passion. I want to create fulfillment. I want to create abundance. Okay, so that means I have to generate new thoughts and let new thoughts come into my brain to create that. And the cool thing is emotions don't like to share space. And so if you're not feeling the way that you want to feel, you're not a victim. You can choose. You can create that. And here's the thing. We give you a big fat clue in this business, which is so cool because we talk about personal development. Now, personal development is really amazing because it is showing you how to create something new. And that's putting these new thoughts into your brain because most people walk through life recycling the same thoughts over and over and over again that they had the day before. And then they wonder why their lives aren't any different. And they're like, you know, you go to the high school reunion and you're like, yeah, you're kind of exact same person you were back then. Nothing's really changed. And I would much rather grow. I'd much rather learn and change. And so I love personal development. I love podcasts. I'm constantly listening to that while I'm getting ready in the morning, while I'm cleaning my house, when I'm driving my kids around, because I'm that taxi driver, I swear right now, driving my kids all around. And so I love that because to create something new, you have to think something new, okay? And I think that that made a huge difference for me getting started. I feel that your business grows or shrinks to match the amount of personal development that you do. And if you're reading the same book you started 2 years ago, there's a big fat clue on maybe why your business hasn't grown compared to where it was 2 years ago. Like, this is like constantly learning new things and watching and growing and just immersing into that. And so you can have constantly new results in your life. And this goes along to what is called either being past focused or future focused. And I know somebody is focused on their past and trying to create essentially from their past. When I share with them an idea or talk to them about Hitting Success Club, and they respond with, I've tried that, it doesn't work for me. Okay, so where is that person generating their thoughts from? The past. They're looking to the past and saying, well, I don't see evidence that that works. So they're not using up-to-date information because maybe things have changed. Maybe you have changed. Maybe the circumstances have changed. Like use the up-to-date information to create the thoughts that you're having right now and create from the future and from possibility. But if it's saying, this is how I've always done it, or, well, this is the way I was trained 3-4 years ago, it's like, okay, well, we've got to learn something new and create from your future. Okay, let me go to my notes to make sure I stay on track. Relating to this, one of the things that I loved in this same book that I just finished, the John C. Maxwell one, No Limits, he talked about how very rarely is it ever a knowledge gap that keeps us from reaching our goals. And so he talks about how many times he will visualize in his mind his future self who has accomplished these goals and done all these amazing things, giving him advice. And so he'll be in this meditative state and be like, okay, what would you tell me right now? Like, and he's picturing himself like already attaining all of these big goals or whatever and mentoring him. And the reality is that's a really smart thing to do because we have all the answers within us, right? But this future self is giving him advice. And every time he would do that visualization, he would say that very rarely was it ever a knowledge gap that he was mentoring himself on. More often than not, it was a self-doubt. And so it was an encouragement of keep on going. You got this. You just have to stay consistent. You just got to keep doing this. But it's that self-doubt that is the gap between where you want to be and where you are right now. And I found that very true for myself. That's what made the difference for me, and why I say like that confidence, and why the personal development made a big difference for me, because very rare is it that knowledge gap. Of course, I did have a lot to learn. So being intentional again with resourcefulness, looking things up on YouTube and tuning in for national wake-up calls and things like that made a difference. The other thing I want to share with this, 2 quick little points and then I'll be done. But there was a survey done with all of these successful people, and John C. Maxwell said that the most common denominator that these people said when they were giving advice is that their greatest success came one step past defeat. And so he's like, for you to be successful, essentially, you have to be quite illogical. Because when the logical thing is to give up and to throw in the towel, and that's the logical thing, because you think like, all right, I've already tried this, I've already done this, the logical thing is for me to give up. You be illogical. Illogical. I'm not saying that word correct. You be the crazy person and you stick with it, because success is that one step past defeat. Guys, I know that looking back now, I can be like, wow, this business grew really quickly and I've done well and I'm so grateful, but it sure didn't feel that way in the moment. Like, I can tell you guys so many times I felt like I was spinning my wheels doing this, and then so many times I was like, are you kidding me? I gave you the link, you didn't order, I've sent you so many follow-ups. If you just would have used the freaking link, I would have been in Success Club 10 2 days ago. Like, that totally happens to everybody, okay? It still happens to me. Are you kidding me? But, like, I kept pressing forward. I kept pressing forward when the logical thing would have been to just give up. But with this, when you take action on your goals and you move forward, you create a belief about yourself, and you feed that self-confidence, you feed that belief in what's possible, and then you also create a passion and an excitement about this. I think many times people are like, I'm just waiting until I feel like it. I'm just waiting until I feel passionate. I am just waiting until I feel motivated. And you're like, okay, 29 years are going to pass, and then you're going to look back with regret. I didn't feel like this when I started. I didn't feel like this. I had to channel my energy every single morning and remind myself of my compelling reason to do this. I had to remind myself that even if I fail, I'm still coming out ahead than if I never tried. But I had to take that action first, and then the belief followed, then the passion followed, then the excitement followed, and then I had momentum. And then I got easier, and it gets easier. And I'm just going to throw in one last little analogy that I remind my coaches of all the time. I just think of that water pump analogy that's from the Slight Edge. And he talks about how when you're pumping that water pump, and I'm from Idaho, I grew up going to cabins, and we had a literal water pump, and that's how we got our water. And when you first started using that water pump, it's a lot of work, and it's hard to get any stream of water to come out. But when you're consistent with it and you stick with it, it gets easier, and it gets easier, and the water is just flowing. But so many people, I feel, in this business stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. And the really unfortunate thing about that is you're creating and enforcing a belief that you can't do this. And how many people are missing out when you have that belief? Like, how many people will never get their chance to believe in themselves because you give up on yourself? I strongly believe that there are people that I can never reach, that Melissa can never reach, that Scotty, Lindsay Matway, Melanie Mitchell can never reach, that will only hear about this and believe in themselves because of you. And that's why you can't ever give up on this, not to mention you'll regret it for the rest of your life. But guys, like, you take action, I promise it gets easier and easier and easier. And remember, this business is very much like a 3-month out business. The results I'm getting today are from the efforts I did 3 months ago. So if you come to me and you say, I'm doing all of these activities on my business activity tracker, I'm talking to 10 people a day, I'm adding new people on Instagram, I'm starting these new conversations, I'm like, awesome. And you're like, and I didn't hit Success Club this month. What's wrong? I'm like, okay, how long have you been doing that? Oh, 2 months. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Because you will see the results of that 3 months later, but you just can't give up in the process of not seeing that harvest come. I'm grateful I'm from Idaho, and I know about seasons. I know that you have to plant, you have to harvest, you have to be consistent before you have to nurture before you get any harvest out. And that's what this business is. So those are the things that made a difference for me in this business, getting started. The things that I see people miss, when they're not reaching their goals and not seeing success. And that's it.
Incredible. I took a page full of notes, and I saw everybody's hands moving and heads nodding, and I know that the message that you delivered tonight, even for the people who are going to listen back tomorrow or the next couple of days, I hope that they receive the message that you just shared, because it's so impactful, and we're so grateful for this time. And like I shared at the beginning of the call, Brigida has been a mentor for me in this business, and I'm just so grateful to have leaders like her to follow in those footsteps, and to have people who've been brave and paved the way. Because I remember my very first year that I was a coach in 2014, and seeing her at Summit, and I think that was the year that you won the leadership award.